Hello everybody, it's Stewart A. Swerdlow.
And Janet Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the very last week of December and the last time for 2015.
That's amazing.
I just can't even believe it.
No, but you know what? There have been a lot of requests for you to sing somewhere.
Well, they're going to have to send money. If you want me to sing, you send money. And with your song request, then I will do it.
Yeah, because everybody's asking.
Or I will accept a red wine, bottle of vodka, like that.
Well, you already are a red wine. W-H-I-N-E.
And why do I whine? Because of...
You.
Right. You.
Anyway, or they come to our January class. Maybe you'll sing there.
Again, extra. It's extra.
Because everybody's requesting it.
You can request all that. I request a Rolls Royce. I'm not going to get it, okay?
I don't know.
Because,
maybe it's on its way. Don't negate the universe.
Send me a Rolls Royce that I can keep.
If you have a Rolls Royce,
a real one that I can drive,
then you'll sing a song.
Yes.
Okay, a real one.
Right.
Your turn.
So maybe they can pool their funds and
there you go.
Get together. Anyway, very serious news.
Yes.
Well, for how many months and years we've been talking about that global warming stuff.
Lies.
Well, apparently it is a lie. Because NASA itself has a news... Did you know NASA had a newspaper?
No.
Yeah, they have a newspaper. And in their own newspaper, the space program has found that Earth has cooled in the areas of heavy industrialization. And that because of the industrialization, trees have been lost and the more fossil fuel, which is no such thing, takes place. And that actually cools the environment and reflects away solar radiation.
So they're admitting it?
Yeah, well,
wow.
In this. And in addition, Norway, the Norwegian Polar Institute. Did you know that existed?
No.
That there's a Norwegian Polar Institute?
No, but I did post Norwegian Christmas food on my Facebook page.
Norwegian food is horrible, except for the herring.
Now, how about the
You ever had that brown cheese?
That I like, actually.
No,
actually, I like that.
Like
but this was like a sheep's head and other kinds
exactly.
of things.
So, the Norwegian Polar Institute found, get this, that there are more polar bears than the last time they counted them in the same area. And in fact, they said that even though there may have been a few years with poor ice coverage, that there are more polar bears than ever before. For example, they counted 975 polar bears in the Norwegian region, when 10 years ago there were only 685.
Mm-hmm. How can you count polar bears? You can't even see them.
You go like this. 1, 2, wait, in Norwegian though, you count,
1, 2, and then they go 600.
Right.
Because you can't even see them.
Yeah, but guess what else?
What?
They're in excellent condition and, quote, as fat as pigs. So, explain that, what's his face? Who's that one with the polar bear movie, the poor skinny polar bear clinging to the ice?
Yeah, but that's another lie.
Of course, obviously. Now, back to where you come from in that area, Reno.
Yeah, I come from further north, but...
Reno, there's been a series of 30 earthquakes in the last 2 days, and they're monitoring to see if it slows down or picks back up. And as you know, that happened a couple of years ago in Lake Tahoe, which is near Reno, and they found that as magma moving underneath the area and melting the rocks and causing the earthquakes. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that it just was Christmas.
It was.
It was, even though we don't really, and no one gave me presents. Anyway, here's another NASA story.
NASA's popular.
Yes, because you know what? NASA uses the name Santa Claus.
Really?
You know why?
Why?
Because that's their code name for UFOs. Did you know that?
That mean like Satan?
Well, UFOs who were spotted on the lunar surface.
By
and
NASA?
There is a woman, a former NASA employee. Her last name is Hare, like it's an O'Hare airport, and a hare that jumps around.
Mm-hmm. A rabbit.
Yeah. Her name is Hare. And she went on record to state that the agency erases anomalies from pictures before selling them to the public. Well,
surprise.
That's not a big news.
Right.
As she was employed as an illustrator and photographic slide technician and actually received rewards for her work.
I think I've heard about her.
And she said, quote, "I was amazed that they had a protocol in place for getting rid of UFOs in pictures. She said, not only is NASA hiding UFOs from the American people? She was told the World Agency has doctored and obscured thousands of photos, and she went on record to state the agency has erased flying saucers from pictures before selling them to the public, yes, and she claims NASA threatened those who dared to speak about the sightings or airbrushing pictures, specifically that they would lose their retirement.
I think they might lose their lives. I'm surprised she was talking about this.
In one occurrence, she claims, a security guard at NASA came into her office and said he was scared for his life. He said soldiers made him burn pictures and he was not allowed to look at them. He said at one picture, which he always stuck a look, he saw UFOs, and then shortly after he was hit on the head with the gun, the butt of a gun.
That they're serious.
Yes. Now another guy, Sergeant Carl Wolf, who worked for the Director of Intelligence at headquarters of Tactical Air Command, claims he saw photos being altered to omit anomalies on the moon's surface, and an officer told him there was a moon base made by aliens on the dark side of the moon.
They're reading your stuff.
Yes, and it was their job to airbrush them out. Now, let's come back to Earth for a moment. How many of you heard the story of that family of 11 Muslims from Britain who were about to board a flight to L.A. to go visit Disneyland, and then they were told they couldn't go.
Right.
And they complained, and it's prejudice because they're Muslims, right? Okay, so the story said, a family of 11, a lovely big British family, which they're not really British, and they had saved £9,000 for their flights to make their family happy at Christmas, but the ruthless officials from USA, Homeland Security, said they were not allowed to board.
Sounds terrible.
It's terrible, but there's another side to the story. Because this lovely British family are not exactly conventional.
No.
Because the family was 2 brothers and 9 children, all boys between the ages of 8 and 19, and, get this, all of them were named Mahmoud.
All of them.
Yeah, it's like that makes even George Foreman's all kids named George. I mean, this is even more bizarre than that.
Were the brothers named the same?
They're all named Mahmoud.
And where were the women?
Well, that's the story, because there weren't any. So the question is, where were the mothers of these 9 children? Was it just that the woman's place was in the home? Were they too female to fly, or were they not needed for the family's final destination? So, if Homeland Security was suspicious about the fact there were no mothers, who can blame them? But there's more.
More?
Because they lived in a place in London area called Waltham Forest, which is a hotbed for extremism of fundamentalist Islam, and the loudest extremist hate speaker in Britain came from that neighborhood. Not only that they found Facebook postings and emails that confirmed this family's links with Al-Qaeda. And yes, there was a Facebook page connecting the family, sympathizing with Al-Qaeda. And the brother's middle name is Tariq, Mahmoud Tariq, yes? Well, he had been detained in Tel Aviv for 8 days before being ejected from the country, inexplicably, according to the guy's wife. So would you want to get on board with him, knowing he was expelled from...
Very strange, regardless.
And there was no wife, no mothers traveling with the family. So let's look at the facts here. They had computer information that showed them sympathizing with Al-Qaeda. There were 2 brothers and 9 boys, with no women or mothers. They had been detained and ejected from Israel, and they come from a neighborhood where there is known to be extremists. So you know what? I'm glad they were ejected.
Well, it sounds very strange, I have to admit.
Yeah, very, very strange indeed. A whole family name. We should name all my children Stewart. What do you think of that?
Wait, what if we had girls?
Doesn't matter.
They should just still be called Stewart?
Now, let's go to my homeland, Russia.
I have a lot of Russian stories.
Oh, you do? Well, do you have this about Putin?
Well, I have Putin stories, but I don't know what your story is yet.
Yes, because apparently an ex-KGB agent claims that Putin arranged for the destruction of that Russian plane over Egypt so that there would be an excuse to attack Syria.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yes. And it was a really terrible thing because, according to experts, they said that bomb that broke up the plane would have been a hurricane-like decompression, ripping through the plane from back to front, tearing anything and anybody not strapped down. I mean, really, and the worst thing is, some died from loss of oxygen, while others didn't die until it hit the ground. That's really, really horrible. I don't think Putin would have done that.
Anything. It's
now,
horrible.
of course, right after it happened, Islamic fanatics claimed responsibility and published a photograph of a soda can, that contained the timer and the bomb in it.
Would that be big enough to blow up a plane?
Well, apparently it could. However, the extremists didn't have any details about it, and from what they described, it looked like the plane had been shot down from the ground and not sabotaged with a bomb. So there was a discrepancy there. But this guy, Boris Karpichkov, a former spy for the KGB, who now lives under a new identity with his wife and children in England. Now, why would England take that in? And he claims it was the Kremlin, not ISIS, that deliberately blew the plane into the sky. He said it was to get worldwide sympathy at a time when Russia was being treated as a pariah because of its aggression towards Ukraine. He also said that the KGB and the Russians blew up apartment buildings in Moscow, killing hundreds of people in order to attack an excuse to attack the Chechen rebels in the southern part of Russia. This is what this guy said.
You mean way back when?
Yeah. But let's look at him, because this Major Karpichkov was actually on bad terms with the KGB because he claimed they owed him money. And he also claimed that he was trained in a KGB academy in Minsk, which is actually not Russia, but Belarus. Mm-hmm. He was taught how to kill with his bare hands, like you, and carry out what they called wet jobs, which is killing without leaving any traces of evidence. Now, he reached the rank of KGB major and was privy to many Kremlin secrets, and he was stationed most of his career in the Soviet Republic of Latvia, which is now part of the EU. Mm-hmm. Now, he, when the Soviet Empire collapsed, he stayed in Latvia and joined their intelligence service, but at the same time leaked information to Russia. So he was a
double spy.
He was a little sneaky boy, wasn't he?
Well, and the thing is you never really leave these.
Yeah,
you never leave the KGB.
Plus, he was jailed for 2 months on weapons charges over a payment he claimed the KGB owed him and didn't. And the Russians accused him of being in massive fraud, which is what they normally say that's about people. They placed him in house arrest in Latvia. He had 4 false passports.
Well, if he was a spy, that would make sense.
No, but listen, false passports that he used to flee the country. So, like, if passports are so accurately monitored, how do they have 4 fake ones and get into England?
Well, like I said, if he was part of KGB, he would have had a variety.
He says he still maintains Russian contacts with the Russian intelligence area. He claims that a spy was sent to Sharm el-Sheikh, where all the Russians were having a holiday, posed as a former fighter from Ukraine who was recuperating at the Red Sea, befriended a young Russian woman staying in the resort, and before she left, for St. Petersburg, he gave her a present, asking her to deliver it to his parents in Russia, and of course that present was a bomb.
Oh dear.
And that he personally escorted her through security. So it's like, excuse me, I have this bomb with this person, I'm just going to escort her. Oh yes, you go ahead.
And then
Makes
they gave
sense
the
to
bomb
me.
to the parents?
No. And anyway, he said that when the Russians bombed their own apartment building in Moscow, that an official speech to a council meeting apologized for the bombs 3 days before they happened. Sounds like 9/11 stuff, right?
Well, like I said,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, the Russians said, this theory about the plane being deliberately blown up on Putin's orders can only come from someone with a sick mind who is intent on revenge.
It's hard to tell these days.
But if we look at this Karpichkov's background, let's look. He fell out of favor with his sponsors whether in Moscow, Riga, or London, and probably the CIA too. Nobody trusts him. He invents far-fetched nonsense. All these things lead up to the possibility that he's just being vengeful against his former
who knows? If people are leaking things,
employers.
as I said, you never leave organizations like the KGB. So I'm sure he's monitored one way or the other.
Everybody is.
He has to serve a purpose, otherwise he wouldn't still be
Personally,
around.
I don't believe that story because the Russians wouldn't do that to their own people like that. They would do to other people, but not their own. Plain load of their own people. No, I don't believe that.
I don't think so either. All right. Now,
Americans would, though.
I have a lot of news, and I'm going to try a lot of stories.
Okay, speak fast.
I'm going to try to go fast. So I reported on the start of this story that Christmas is a charade. The Pope spoke those words some time ago, but they're saying he's talking about it again. So I just want to quote this. He says, "We are close to Christmas. There will be lights, there will be parties, bright trees, even nativity scenes all decked out, while the world continues to wage war. It's all a charade. The world has not understood the way of peace." Now, the interesting thing about this is that it's now, just before Christmas, was all over the internet, and it was being interpreted that the Pope says we have begun World War III.
Oh, it's true.
But they're saying he said that. Now, I could not find him actually saying that, but he does say that the whole world is at war. Now, they're calling it World War III, which, of course, is an imprinting. And then
a lot of people say that now.
I also saw where he was saying it was the last Christmas for humanity.
Really?
Well, that's what it's...
Did you see?
That's why I wanted to say this, because this was the headlines, but I could not find that he'd actually said that. So if anybody sees a speech, not a news thing, but a speech where he actually said that, let me know.
Gee, I wish I would have known. I would have done something special.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was interesting that was what was going all over the internet. And then he also talked about... let's see, what shall remain in the wake of this war in the midst of which we are living? What shall remain? Ruins, thousands of children without education, so many innocent victims, and lots of money in the pockets of arms dealers. Now, what's interesting about that, he condemned the arms dealers for their role in world conflict. So, remember where we talked about before, I looked this up, it says that the IOR, which is the Institute for Works of Religion, known as the Vatican Bank, is the largest shareholder after its owner, Gusali Ugo Beretta, of the Pietro Beretta arms factory in Italy.
Isn't that interesting?
Okay, and then more research showed me that in 1933, it says the Vatican demonstrated its ability to engage in lucrative deals with fascist governments. In 1929, apparently, he signed some kind of agreement with Mussolini, which was followed by another between the Holy See and the Third Reich of Hitler.
Well, we know that one.
Then Cardinal Eugenio Pacelli, the future Pope Pius XII, was in charge of negotiating as Vatican Secretary of State. He signed a treaty with Hitler's Germany. Pius XII knew Germany because he was nuncio in Berlin during World War I and then again as Secretary of State. Then it says, despite constant pressure and great world pressure, Pope Pius XII also refused to excommunicate Hitler and Mussolini. And when the Nazis invaded Poland, Pius XII...
Well, first of all, Hitler wasn't Catholic, so he couldn't, was he, to excommunicate him?
Well, that's what they're claiming here. When the Nazis invaded Poland, Pius XII refused to condemn the invasion. And he says the biggest advantage, the article says, the biggest advantages that the Vatican had was a very lucrative agreement with Hitler, which was a church tax, which they say even now the German believers have to pay. And they can, they can only escape that if they renounce their religion. So again, while the Pope is condemning the arms dealers, everything that I'm reading and researching says that the Vatican Bank is one of the largest shareholders, is the largest shareholder of the Beretta arms factory.
And then the Pope says, oh, we shouldn't fight anymore.
Exactly.
It's not, but just buy our weapons.
Now, I have a lot of Putin stories. So the first one is John Kasich, who is the Ohio's governor. This was very interesting. He put up a website. And it was Trump-Putin 2016. It's supposed to be a parody, of course, but it's still it's imprinting the world with one world government, in my opinion, Trump and Putin.
Right.
He says that the The slogan was "Make Tyranny Great Again," which parodies Trump's "Make America Great Again." It mocks Trump's and Putin's bombastic and controversial views with disclaimers like, by signing up you're waiving all constitutional rights, civil liberties, notion of privacy, and subjecting yourself to a steady stream of hugely outrageous comments. So I still think it was interesting because they're linking it together, which again is the beginning of imprinting it. So, and then, did you know that Vladimir Putin put out a calendar?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, it's called A Year with the President.
He wanted me to be in it, but I said, I don't want to embarrass him because he wouldn't look as good as me.
Well, I understand that. Yeah. It's called A Year with the President of Russia. Now, I have a lot of bear stories, which we're going to go into in a little bit later.
Bear like bear or bear like naked bear?
Well, I think that maybe it might be the same.
Ooh.
Because they talk a lot about Putin being bare-chested. So I think it's a play on words. Because why is he always going shirtless? He's a bear.
Well, not in the winter.
Yeah, B-E-A-R. Yeah. Because remember the Russians, I have that on my Facebook page, of all the little kids in the snow, and basically they're naked except for a little underwear, running around, jumping in the snow. No, because they claim it makes them tough, which is true. It builds their immune system. And so here we would call it child abuse, but there it is true.
Well, you make me go out in the snow.
Well, you just like that.
You tell me, then you've done your lesson, then you can come back in.
No, you just go out just on your own because you love that. You're Russian. Anyway, so I thought this was very interesting about the bare-chested. And he also talks about the right to bear arms, B-E-A-R, but yet he's bearing his arms. So there are all these layers, which we talk about all the time, of what's going on. But in the calendar, they show him in military uniforms being serious, as well as sniffing flowers, cuddling up to dogs.
He's a soft side.
And then he says no one will ever get military superiority over Russia. And then I like all Russian women. I think Russian women are most talented and most beautiful. And he also praised Donald Trump, saying he was very talented, no doubt about that.
Well, he is kind of talented.
So I thought that was interesting. And then somebody sent me a thing, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it showed his ex-wife, Ludmilla, claiming that that Putin was really killed off, and this is his double doing this stuff.
I know that's not true.
But I'm just telling people this, so when you see these things, unless you can speak Russian and really know what's going on.
And besides, it wasn't really her; it was just someone writing and then putting her picture on it and saying it was her.
Exactly. So I want you to understand that as well.
She would never say, because they would kill her.
They would, and that's what she said. She said if she said it at the time, they'd kill her. But it's like
they'd kill her now.
It's like this KGB guy.
Yeah.
It's what's real and what's not. Anyway, and then Edgar Casey. Now this
is a name from the past.
I know. He was called the Sleeping Prophet. Some people consider him to be the father of holistic medicine.
I thought I was.
Back in the 30s, he used to enter into trance-like states of consciousness.
I do that every day.
Well, yeah, just to exist.
Just after I have my vodka.
We're not supposed to talk about that because you don't want to get out these negative things that people should not really be doing. Anyway, unless it's for medicinal reasons.
Right, it's only for medicinal.
Yeah. Anyway, so we don't really hear about Edgar Casey, but you and I both grew up with him. We read his autobiography.
I grew up with him. It's like he died before I was born.
What year did he die?
1945.
Okay, but we grew up with his stories and his books. That was some of the early metaphysical things that were out there. Anyway, he called what he brought back from the source. He claimed he didn't remember it. It was mostly about health. Alternative health ways to, but he also discussed some of the larger global political and social events. So in 1932, apparently, he zeroed in on Russia and called Russia the hope of the world.
That's right.
He said, in Russia there comes the hope of the world, not as that sometimes termed of the communistic or Bolshevik, no, but freedom, that each man will live for his fellow man. The principle has been born. It will take years for it to be crystallized. But out of Russia, again, comes the hope of the world.
I agree with that.
He also predicted the possibility of a third world war, and he said in Libya, Egypt, Ankara, and Syria.
But that's why I'm saying it's already started, because that's really what's going on.
I agree with you. Through the straits around those areas above the Persian Gulf. So I thought that was interesting that they're bringing that up again. Now, in some of my research, this came up, and this I thought was one of the most fascinating things I'm going to tell you. This and what I'm going to tell you at the end.
Okay.
This is about another presidential candidate, Jeb Bush. Now, we had commented on the last podcast, and I said, what kind of name is Jeb? So somebody wrote in, I don't know if it was on the YouTube or the Facebook page, and they told me that Jeb was actually putting his initials together, John Ellis Bush. That's why they call him Jeb.
Yeah, but they call him Jeb Bush, would make him Bush,
So the interesting thing to me is, then I was researching something else. Long story short, and this is what I found out. Listen to this. In the typical form of her myth, Isis, we're going back to Isis, Isis was the first daughter of Jeb.
Oh my.
God of the earth. Now isn't that interesting? So this is making me wonder if they're not going to pull Jeb Bush out. He would be the third Bush to be president. 3 is in the Illuminati terms is always what they want.
Yeah, but he's dumb as a stump.
Doesn't matter, that makes him easier to control. And as I was reading about Jeb Bush, I happened to come across his wife named Columba.
No.
And Columba he met in Mexico. A very odd story.
Well, she's Mexican. Yes.
Listen to this, because then I looked up the word Columba.
Yes.
In ancient Greece, Aphrodite was worshipped,
Right.
and they called her sometimes Venus Columba.
Right, but it also was the name for Semiramis and Sumer.
Well, they said that Venus and Columba means the dove.
Right.
So the dove and Venus were associated with Semiramis of Babylon. So that was interesting. And then, so I looked up a little bit more about Columba, and apparently, usually the Bushes they want to marry,
But also District of Columbia.
Exactly, I have that down. Columbia, we have Christopher Columbus, we have, they want to change that to the new state of Columbia. So Columba, excuse me.
You're all choked up over
I
it.
guess. Anyway, so she's associated with, Isis. So he's married now to this person. So we have Jeb and Columba, right? And I was reading about her because they said she's very mysterious. She doesn't like to.
Do we never see her?
No. And apparently when he married her, she didn't even speak English.
No medida.
And as she was 17, he was 17 when he met her. And they said that all the Bushes, marry like high society type of people. So she was supposedly low society, if society at all, because she was from a very poor village outside of Leon in Mexico.
Leon is a lion.
That's right. So there are a lot of things here. So what's making me think about this is it's also a way to bring the Hispanics and the white people together, so to speak.
Well, join U.S. and Mexico in the war in North
Yeah,
America.
exactly. And they lived in Venezuela for 20 years.
They did?
And some of his children were born there. And then he has, there's a Jeb Bush Jr., believe it or not. So, and there's another Geb or Jeb, which is goddess of, or god of the earth. So we have god of the earth joining with the goddess associated with Aphrodite and Semiramis of Babylon.
Can't make that up.
No. So my feeling is that Jeb Bush, they may pull out of the back seat and push him forward, because again, it would be the third Bush. So I don't know, but we're
What
gonna.
about Hillary?
Well, when I look at the Isis, the Jeb, and the Columba stuff, it's like it's really out there.
Hillary.
And-
Her real name is Hillary.
And it would be the third Bush, which is the number they like. So I thought that interesting. So now listen to this one. Now, according to Facebook, that an independent Israeli government authority was so confounded by an item that they found in a Jewish or an Israeli cemetery that they put it out on Facebook to see if anybody could identify it. Did you hear about this? So it's coated in 24 karat gold.
Right.
It's a solid metal object. It was undergone x-rays. Nobody knew what it was. Even a bomb squad looked at it.
Brilliant.
So there was an Italian man called Micah Barak.
No.
Italian.
That's not Italian.
That's what they claim. And it says the cylindrical gold tool is an Isis beamer. Now here
Did they say it was made in Germany or something like that?
Well, it says you can buy one online because it's named after the Egyptian goddess of medicine, magic, and nature. The device is intended to harmonize geopathic and electromagnetic radiation fields.
Right.
So anyway, it says it's also durable enough to survive a bomb squad's controlled explosion.
But my question is, whose grave was it on?
They said they don't know why it was in the cemetery. But again, here comes Isis, okay? So remember, Jeb is now the... let's see. Isis was the first daughter. Isis was the daughter of Jeb. Okay? The god of the earth. And now we have an Isis beamer.
I see.
And now we go back to France again. Because do you remember the man who lured his boss into a van?
Yeah.
Okay,
Cut
knocked
his
him
head
on.
off.
Yes, supposedly. Now he's hung himself,
Yeah,
committed suicide with an electric cable in prison.
Yeah.
Now, again,
I think they just hung him in prison.
of course they did, because they're not going to give him an electric cable.
No, they're not going to go to trial.
No, so it's, they got rid of him. But France still and Paris, blah blah. Virginia is going to stop honoring 25 states' concealed gun carry permits, and so you can have a concealed weapon permit, in one state, but if you go into Virginia from 25 states, they'll arrest you.
Unless they don't.
But if they find you, they will. And so Chris Cox, who's the executive director of the Institute for Legislative Action at the National Rifle Association, said, "Plain and simple, this is putting politics above public safety. This decision is both dangerous and shameful." So point being is, again, a way to start slowly eating away at, at taking the guns out. Remember, I already told you they're restricting bullets and ammunition. So now here's another sector that they can pull. And of course they say Virginia was the site of the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, the rampage at Virginia Tech University in 2007. And then now there's the mysterious death of the grandson of Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yeah.
Now this was interesting because they're still not saying, I cannot find what caused his death. Now he was a troublemaker apparently. He was supposedly arrested for burglaries. It's like, why is this person doesn't need to be arrested for burglaries. He can get whatever he wants. He's got plenty of money. But this was interesting because he was 28 years old. He went to bed. He said, I didn't feel well. He didn't wake up. And then the other thing is that he is Jimmy Carter's third son. So we have another three. We have three.
Grandson.
It's the son of his third son.
Oh.
So again, we were getting this male lineage, like the Bushes of three. And this young man was only 28 years old, which is 2 + 8 is 1. A new beginning. So I feel he was sacrificed for something. We'll find out. And then in Blaine, Minnesota, the students at a holiday concert sang Allah Akbar.
Yeah, but that's not correct.
And what is it supposed
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. But, so whoever's writing this stuff, like we've talked about before, they don't know their stuff. But anyway, apparently they sang this song, upset the parents. A local television station reported on it, and they said Ramadan has come and gone. Eid? Is that how you say that?
Eid, yeah. I was actually in Jordan during Eid.
Eid has dawned upon us. Thank you, Allah, for this blessed day. This is a time of happiness, a time of joy. Thank you, Allah, for this blessed day. Now, again, this is a way of bringing in New World religion and getting young children used to these sayings and the songs and whatever. And one of the biggest thing they talked about is that Ramadan has come and gone. It was last summer. So therefore, why are they singing this at the holiday time? So,
because Eid is like the Islamic Christmas.
But it's in the summer, and this is celebrating. So anyway, the parents were upset. And then more Christmas stories. There was a woman, a 40-year-old woman of Ontario. It doesn't say where. I don't know if that was Canada. But anyway, or U.S., because we have an Ontario, U.S. It said that one of her twin sons became fussy while they were waiting in line to see Santa, so she decided to breastfeed him. So she's sitting on Santa's lap, breastfeeding this child who's not so little, and he wasn't done eating, so therefore she just said, "Can I sit on your lap?" So you and I talked about this. So you tell us the symbolism.
Well, first of all, it's a bunch of malarkey story because first of all, if the kid is so young that he needs to be breastfed, he doesn't need to sit on Santa's lap because he doesn't know what the heck's going on. Second of all, I'm sure the woman wanted to display herself as a sexual trigger for Santa or whatever else was going on there.
Yeah,
There's no reason for her to sit on Santa's lap and nurse. Absolutely
and
no
Satan.
reason. No reason for it.
So we have all that stuff going on. There are lots of triggers, and of course, blasted all over the internet. Then, now this is a game I haven't heard about for a while. So they claim that this has been going on for a long time. It's called Suffocation Roulette, Cloud 9, or simply the Choking Game.
Oh, that's what you play with me sometimes.
No, I don't. It's not a funny thing.
Oh.
There was a 13-year-old who died, and the interesting is 13 is a trigger, and the boy's first name was Memphis. So,
like Egypt,
yes.
The city of Memphis in Egypt,
yes.
And Tennessee.
Yeah, so we're continuing to bring in all these ISIS, Egyptian, old-time triggers. And his last name was Burgess. Anyway, the father found him. He thought he was playing a game with him, but found this rope laying next to him. And it's thought that over 1,000 deaths since 1934 have happened. Now this says, it's known as the, quote, good kids high, appealing to children who wouldn't normally drink or do drugs. You put the rope around your neck and then you get high from it.
No, you
so
choke.
That's what they're claiming. I think it's all a bunch of baloney. And, we have even heard about actors and high-profile people who are found dead supposedly from this because it's supposed to heighten sexual whatever.
So killing yourself is going to heighten
Right.
that.
So I don't really think this should be known as the good kids high, because if you're doing this stuff, you got problems.
It's not a good kid, is it?
No, you have problems. And then a pediatrician writes that this is the age where kids are engaging in high-risk behaviors. I don't think so. If they're raised and supervised properly, I don't think so. He says that's just what they do. I don't think that either. So anyway.
And he's what, a psychiatrist or?
He was a pediatrician.
Pediatrician. I wouldn't take my kids to him.
No, he says this is just what kids do. In fact, we knew somebody who took their kid to a psychiatrist who recommended that he smoke pot long before, and this kid went downhill into more drugs. So very bad, some of these things. So just because they have a PhD or whatever behind their name doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Now, I also wanted to bring this one up because most of you by now may have heard about Steve Harvey announcing the wrong winner of Miss Universe.
Yes.
Okay, who did he hand the crown to? Columba. There we have Columba being imprinted again because the whole world saw it and they played it over and over and over and over again.
Yes, but then they took it away from him.
They took it away, they gave it to Miss Philippines, and he called it a horrible mistake. And there are all kinds of things that are happening around this. Some people are calling it a publicity stunt.
How could he make such a mistake?
Exactly. And then he shows us the card, okay? So they don't show you the card. They show you the card, and it clearly states, that Miss Columbia was the first runner-up. And there's space. I mean, there's no way.
So he misread it? Is that it?
They're claiming that. But the conspiracy theorists say that there was actually a teleprompter that he was reading from.
That's what I heard.
That said that Miss Columbia was the runner.
Supposedly in the beginning, he said that he read that on the teleprompter, and that's why he said it.
Yes. And so now they're showing this card, it's like showing the passports of the people who supposedly bombed 9/11 or whatever. But anyway, I thought that was interesting because we have Columba again. We have that connection. Now, then we go even deeper. I mean, so many triggers are being imprinted. It's just unbelievable to me. So they keep talking about this. They want him to do it again, the executive producers are saying.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Okay, now get this. There's a judge, and have you heard of Perez Hilton?
Yes.
Okay, not Paris Hilton.
No, Perez, I heard of it.
Okay, this man was born Mario Armando Lavandera.
What a nice name.
And he used to do a blog called Blog 666. But now he goes by Perez, P-E-R-E-Z, or Paris. And we also have the Paris Hilton, of course. And we have more Paris stuff going on. And he's talking about it being rigged, blah, blah, blah. And then they finally decide, that he's okay, and they'll bring back this Steve Harvey. But the interesting thing is, while this is going on inside, do you remember what was going on outside?
Yes.
What?
There was that woman who drove her car into a crowd and killed somebody.
Yes, her name was Lakeisha Holloway. Now, this is a black woman. And this black woman apparently had a very successful clothing line.
She did.
That she was, there to promote. And so when they talked to her cousin, she said that's not like her. She's a very successful woman. She's always successful. She's an overachiever. It's not her character.
A minute. They said she was homeless and living in her car.
No. They said that she had her 3-year-old child in the back, and that they claimed that she was on her way to see the child's father in Texas.
They said she was looking for a place to sleep.
Not according to this article.
And she was upset that she was homeless.
Yep, nope, not according to this article. She's successful. She has a clothing line. Now listen to this one, okay? This happened in front of the Paris Hotel and Casino, and the Planet Hollywood as the Miss Universe pageant was underway. So we've got Paris again.
Yeah.
Now, it gets even more bizarre, because guess what happened in October?
I was getting stuck in Indonesia.
Lakeisha in Holloway changed her name to Paris Paradise Morton.
Why?
They don't say, according to Oregon court records. So, anyway, again, it's very bizarre. Now, guess what? Jessica Valenzuela of Buckeye, Arizona was killed in the crash, which of course our condolences to the family. But remember who I just told you lived in Venezuela for 20 years. So Valenzuela. So we've got more Paris stuff going on.
Wow,
the woman changed her name to Paris, the Paris Hotel. We have Perez Hilton going on. We have Columba. So all this stuff, you have to watch, people, because it's amazing. Now we're going to move on to the Kardashians.
Oh, do we have to?
We have to, because apparently they're doing a waist training corset craze, which sounds ridiculous. And now this is what gets me. They said that Khloe and Kim Kardashian have legendary and highly coveted bodies. I don't think so. I don't want to look like this.
You know what? I think they're ugly.
Well, but they're wanting to make this into what's beautiful.
They look like cartoon characters.
Yes, and and these little corset things that they're wearing, they're very sexual. Like they would show the pornography people wearing these bustiers and these kind of corsets. That's what they're advertising, which now, of course, women want, so they can have these dinky, tiny little waists, because they're saying it's a temporary solution, but you can get this hourglass figure, and you can be very, very curvy.
It's not an hourglass figure. It's the distorted...
Yeah. Whatever it is they want to make you.
Figure.
But apparently these things are selling like hotcakes, and there's a shapewear brand named Anne Cherry. Again, another sexual term. Okay. So anyway, I just think that's... Don't do it, people. Don't follow this.
I was going to...
I was going to get you one, but you're different.
Yeah, I was going to have my ribs removed.
Oh, well, now that you mentioned ribs removed, there is a woman, and I followed this after the corset story, because, if you can't get your waist small enough with a corset, hey, you can go get your ribs removed. So this woman, and they showed her actually going into surgery. They talked to the surgeon, because I said, who does this?
Right.
And they showed them actually the ribs coming out, all filled with blood, and laying them out on a surgery table.
That's bizarre. Obscene.
It's bizarre. Anyway, and her name is Pixie Fox.
That's not her real name.
It can't be. But she's 25 years old. She's had 15 cosmetic procedures. She lists all those things. And
she's not the one that wants to look like Barbie doll.
No. She already has an 18-inch waist because of this corset thing, but she wants even smaller. So
really?
So she took out the 6 ribs, 3 on each side. And there's an Indianapolis cosmetic surgeon, Dr. Barry Epley. I'm sorry, I think you ought to have your license revoked.
I'm surprised that they didn't.
He says that having 6 ribs removed does pose a health risk.
Yeah, think.
But he says I don't think there's anything unethical as long as whoever is doing it
they pay me a lot of money,
has
then it's
experience and can do it safely.
Right. As long as you give me a lot of money, then it's okay.
So how many women are going to want to have their ribs removed
now? Stupid women.
They will, but they'll do it. And guys like this are going to make money.
The same ones that put the silicone implants that turn to cement in their breasts.
It's terrible. And afterwards, they showed her going into surgery and had her coming out. They have not had the follow-up, which I'm sure we will see at some point. And she says, quote, "I love what I'm doing."
Because she's a mental case.
And drug overdose deaths are at an all-time high. Apparently, 137% increase since the year 2000.
What was that? Overdose?
Drug overdose. Just in general, it can be prescription or non-prescription. They said 1.5 times more deaths than those resulting from car accidents now.
Really?
Okay. So the reason I'm reporting that is because you are doing it to yourself. Nobody's doing it to you. You're taking the drugs. Nobody's forcing it down your throat.
No, but also let's remember there's a programming aspect to it where they don't even realize why they're doing it.
Yes.
They feel compelled to do it.
Like this woman taking her ribs out. You've got to be programmed to do that.
It should be illegal to remove parts that are...
functional.
Right.
Absolutely. Anyway, and then we had also been talking about the Orthodox rabbis quite a bit in the news.
Yeah, no, they talk about mental cases.
Okay, now we have a New Jersey rabbi sentenced for his role in kidnapping and a torture ring. He was an Orthodox Jewish rabbi who was trying to force guys into getting a religious get, which is what...
A divorce.
Yes, a Jewish law mandates that a husband, even, if the court of law... this supersedes the court of law.
They don't believe in
exactly.
legal. They believe only in religious law.
So anyway, apparently this guy's 70 years old. Yeah, they're now sentencing him to 10 years in prison.
Only that?
Only that, because apparently he led a team using brutal methods and tools, including handcuffs and electric cattle prods.
What?
To torture the men into granting the get.
That's not very religious,
So apparently that he was captured, and I know there's as part of an undercover sting. He says he was doing it to help them out of a sense of compassion because they can't remarry without a get. But
the women.
The women. But they're also saying in court, of course, they demanded $60,000
Right. I was just going to say that he felt compassion because they gave him money.
Enough money. It says the kidnap team also brought surgical blades, a screwdriver, and a rope to a staged kidnapping in 2013. And then he told them how he used the cattle prods. He says, if the cattle prod can get a bull that weighs 5 tons to move, you put it on certain parts of a man and he'll do anything.
And then they say that ISIS is bad.
Exactly. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting story. And now...
That's why I don't believe in any religion.
I'm going to take you back to my dear friend Miley Cyrus.
Again?
Again.
Now what did she do?
Well, you remember how we talked about how can it get more outrageous? So I'm going to bring her up twice. This is the first time. The first time is she now appeared topless on a magazine called Plastic Magazine. And, of course, that's nothing for her, right?
No.
Okay, but this time they had a photo of her wearing an eye patch.
Uh-huh.
So only one eye was shown.
No giant penis?
Not this time.
Uh-huh.
So why do you think she wore the eye patch?
Because she likes pirates?
Well, let's listen. Lionsgate, Lion again, is coming out with a new movie about Egyptian mythology. And this is going to be called Gods of Egypt. Gee, what an original name, right?
Huh.
Okay, this is about the survival of humankind hangs in the balance as an unexpected mortal hero undertakes a thrilling journey to save the world. So he has to enlist the powerful god Horus, because, they had to start putting all these names in front of people. They have a breathtaking battle against Set and his henchmen. Well, the hero has an eye patch. The mortal hero. So I thought, again...
But a human...
So far, and I know it has something to do with getting an eye, but the point is, okay, why do we have... This is twice, right in a row, eye patches. They have one eye that's watching you, right?
Oh, right.
So I don't know what else you might have other ideas, but I'm thinking...
Might be Cyclops programming.
Okay. So anyway, lots of stuff. But if Miley Cyrus is doing it, there's an imprint of something going on.
No, it's not good.
No, it's not good. But I'm going to bring her up later, but first I'm going to go back to this. Yeah. The latest craze in China is to sport sprout hair clips. And I thought, what's a sprout hair clip? So they take a seed, and it germinates, a plant, and then they put it in their hair.
So they're wearing a plant.
They're wearing a plant.
Just with the roots and...
The roots, I guess, here, and then the little thing, so a sprout. What do you think that's about?
I don't know, but maybe I should do that.
Remember they did the bagel head. We've talked about that.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, they implanted a
bagel in your head?
Well, it looks like a bagel, but they implant like a ring, and then they blow it up with fluid, and it makes it look
like...
your
head?
Yeah, I talked about that.
I don't remember.
Probably been a year or so ago.
Oh.
But anyway, so this is a plant. So why would you want to wear a plant in your head, right? So are you going to be
Maybe you're vegetarian.
Or maybe you're just you're a little sprout, you're a nothing, you're a plant, you're a tree, you're not a person, I don't know.
Well, they want something to take root in your brain.
That's good, I like that one.
Thank you, my work here is done.
Okay, and then in Japan, women are now applying red blush under their eyes to recreate that I had too many vodka sodas last night look. That's nice.
The Japanese are weird like that.
Okay, first of all we had China, then Japan, now we move on to South Korea. They like the puffy bags under their face, so now they're doing makeup to give them puffy look.
Really?
And
because you know what I would say if I said, you get out now. You have puffy eye.
Then in Southeast Asia, they're wearing kids are wearing fake braces because they say that's a status.
What?
Braces on their teeth.
Yeah.
So anyway, weird stuff going on in the world, obviously, and more programming. Now this is the Brazil's now has a human body that claims she's a human Barbie that claims she's never had plastic surgery or starved herself, despite her 20-inch waist. So when your waist is small, this is one thing. It's a connection from the spiritual mind to the animal mind, which is centered in the solar plexus. It's also how you absorb things and digest life. So if it's small like that, you can't digest anything. Things are going to go right through you, and you're also distorting your physical body and your energetic field. Okay, so she has a 20-inch waist and a 32F bra. Now, 32, just in case anybody doesn't know, that's what a woman measures under the breast. You knew all this?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. Under the breast. And the F is the cup. So, I mean, she's very small, but she's got, like, gigantic breasts. So, anyway,
that doesn't make sense.
She says her doll-like features are all real. I've had strangers tell me they're disgusted. They look at my face. They fear me. People walk away from me.
Because she looks like she's not a person.
I want to show the world that everyone can be a doll. You don't have to be skinny or blonde. You create your own look and you look happy. She's actually a veterinary physician.
Really?
She has a YouTube page with more than 600,000 subscribers.
I bet.
She says, as long as I can remember, I look like a doll. I like resembling a doll. I receive many lovely messages from my fans. She was alienated by her classmates.
Alien,
I noticed that too, because of her doll-like looks. And so she decided to embrace her looks and highlight the human doll features. Looking like a human doll helps my self-esteem. I feel pretty. Isn't that silly?
I feel pretty looking like a doll, too.
Yeah, and I've told you the next thing after women being naked is men being naked. And
okay.
So now here we have a band called the 5 Seconds of Summer. They're an Australian pop punk band. They were on the latest cover of Rolling Stone. They were totally naked, but they had their hands down over their male parts. So,
is that the one that had like writing all over them?
But the next thing you know, they'll start removing their hands. That's what they did with women
but why
and their
did they
breasts.
have writing all over them?
I don't know. Maybe you have to read what was written on them, but maybe it just means you're just a piece of paper you can write on.
They were like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, they said they don't like it if you say that because they're not called. They don't want to be called a boy band.
Well, they look like little boys to me.
They do. They talk about their image, their relationship with guess who, Justin Bieber, and a leaked video controversy, and even having sex with fans. Big deal, right? Okay.
With fans, I hope they're not spinning fans.
That could be.
Because that would hurt.
Well, because there is programming where they use fans. So that's a possibility. Now I'm going to get back to bears and Miley Cyrus and Putin and all this stuff. Because a couple of years or so ago, we talked about this. There were bears everywhere. No matter where you look, they were walking like humans. They were going through, New Jersey.
We had a bear here last summer.
Yeah, so bears were all over the place. And I talked to you about the bear arms on Putin. So the bear in the Russia stuff is, continuing to come to the forefront. Now, there was a commercial that was on the internet. And, when you click on something, it always plays this commercial. And this particular one was like driving me crazy.
Right.
Okay, and so but it was stuck in my mind because it was about a bear. And so when I started doing my research and we were talking, all these bear things came up. And you probably have seen this. It's a Swiffer commercial, and the man says, and these apparently are their real names. He says, "I'm Jerry Bell II," and his little boy says, "And I'm Jerry Bell III." And the man says, "I'm like a big bear, and this is my little cub." Okay, now I'm going to say this, politically correct or not, but Jerry Bell and his son are both black. And I wondered to myself when I was first seeing this, if it was white people, would they call themselves a bear?
Well, why not?
Because bears generally are thought of as like brown bears, black bears, but they don't really show polar bears like they do all these other kinds of bears. Because the white bear is more about, like in the color codes, is about freezing. The brown bear is more about grounding in these kind of things. So I really felt that this was a racist commercial when I first saw it. And then it showed over and over and over again. And even this fellow, they interviewed him.
The one that was the father.
Jerry Bell, the junior. He said he agreed to do a commercial for the cleaning product. He thought it would only air regionally, maybe a few times. But then he says it's gone viral. It's being broadcast throughout the country very frequently on national TV and all over the internet. So there's a reason that they did that, in my opinion. So that's my first bear story. Then
another bear story.
Archie was a 41-year-old bear. A couple was taking care of him, I guess, in Ohio, but then they lost their permit.
A real bear.
A real bear. So they had him since 1981. They lost their permit. They had no choice but to put him to sleep.
Oh, poor bear.
They said his health was failing. He wasn't expected to live through hibernation, so they gave him a last meal before they put him down. But again, here's a bear. Okay, and then they have 2 giant Kamchatka brown bears.
My people.
Fighting in the heart of Russia's Kronatsky Reserve. And so, anyway, so there's more bear stuff. And then, the next thing that happened was this new film, Leonardo DiCaprio, called Revenant. Now, this says it's the most talked about cinematic moments of the year, prompting viewers to ponder the possibilities of interspecies sexuality. Now, I've been telling you about this, and this is where Miley Cyrus comes in, because I told you about, at the end, she was with this white dog named Milky kissing her on the lips, and I said, bestiality is going to be next. And here we have it. Prompting viewers to ponder the possibilities of interspecies sexuality. Exactly what I said.
Yeah, that was a bad thing that they did in that movie.
Well, according to this is interesting. Leonardo DiCaprio finally addressed rumors surrounding a controversial scene in which his character is seemingly raped by a bear.
Which cannot happen.
Well, let's listen, because this is all interesting the way that they play this up. The star described this scene as groundbreaking, making viewers feel they are watching something you should not be watching.
Yeah, because you shouldn't be.
He said, you can feel the intimacy of both man and beast. You feel the sweat and heat coming off of the animal. It almost awakens another sense in you as an audience member, and you feel like some voyeuristic animal watching something that you shouldn't be watching. It happens early on and sets the scene for the rest of the movie, it says.
Why would a bear do that?
Because they're trying to imprint people
No,
with
but it doesn't
bestiality.
happen.
Of course it doesn't, but they want to imprint people with bestiality and make it normal and natural. Now, it says, some viewers claimed it depicted a rape. This was an advanced showing. The victim of sexual assault by the bear. And DiCaprio says people have responded to it because it's unlike anything they've ever seen before. Now, Fox, which is the studio behind this project, innocently says, quote, as anyone who has seen the movie can attest, the bear in the film is a female who attacks the character because she feels he might be threatening her cub. So, of course, it's not rape if a female attacks a male, right? If it was a male bear attacking a female, I think there would be outrage by the public. But they've made it a female bear attacking a male. So, of course, okay, Fox continues, there is clearly no rape scene with the bear. So, that's what Fox is saying, but this is what people are viewing it as. So, again, bestiality. Now, the other thing that they also talked about this movie, which I found very interesting, it says, among other graphic scenes is one in which the actor chews on a raw bison liver for survival. Now, DiCaprio, listen to this one. He insisted on using a genuine liver for the scene. But why? He said they could have used.
He's such a great actor.
He could have used a jelly version or something else, but he passed on it because he wants you to know you can eat raw meat, right? This is.
How did he get it?
I'm sure they gave it to him.
No, I mean in the movie, they just kill a buffalo. Hello.
Well, I don't know, because I didn't. But it's about eating the liver. He says the bad part is the membrane around. It's like a balloon. When you bite into it, it bursts in your mouth.
He's an idiot.
But the point being is, he just does what his handlers tell him, my dear, and they pay him enough money. He does it.
He ain't right in the head.
Point being is, I'm telling you, everything we've been telling you, you are watching it, and we're putting it together right in front of you. So, I'm going to be really interested on this Jeb Bush stuff, because it just gets, the layers keep going deeper and deeper. And when you do your hyperspace oversoul work, and this is what we're doing on my self-healing blog and my self-healing webinars, we are learning to look behind the words, we're learning to look into the different layers, and the people who are doing it are doing fantastic work. And we will be continuing this in our January class, which is just a couple short weeks away. We have people coming from Australia, from Greece, from Germany, the United Kingdom,
California,
the USA. I'm thinking there's one other country, but I can't think of it.
There is, and I can't think of it either.
Australia, UK, Germany,
Greece.
New
Zealand.
New Zealand. Well, Australia. Did I say United Kingdom?
Yes.
Okay, and US. So anyway, people coming from all over the world. And it's a nice class. We have 2 or 3 more openings in it if you want to join.
It is filling up pretty quick.
Well, it's almost filled, my dear. We can only hold so many people, and then we're done.
I know.
So if they're interested, you've got to get a hold of customer support at expansions.com and get your name on the list.
Yes.
And you have to have this class if you want to be in our Oversoul Mastermind group, which we take applications for at the end of the class. Some people join. Some people, go on to other things, but it doesn't matter because you're going to be where you're supposed to be. Okay? So we have lots of things going on. Oh, and my self-healing webinars. Second session starts, self-healing group webinar this week on Wednesday. So if you want to join, you need to get signed up immediately because I only have a few openings left in that as well. Day with Stewart's. We have a few of those that are now starting to fill for 2016. We don't have a lot because of Stewart's travel schedule. So if you're thinking you want that or a private group class, which we do those as well, up to a week, we have to get you on the schedule because of his schedule.
Yeah, which I'm not sure exactly what it is, but...
Well, we're in the process of putting it together. We have tentative plans for you to be in Germany in March. We have perhaps Holland and Iceland the end of February. That one's coming up. So, and we have more things that we're working on, tentatively speaking. So we have lots of activities. It's never dull around here. So we will hope and know that you will join us wherever you are supposed to join us. Somewhere
I was
in the world.
also asked to come back to Siberia.
Yeah. I want to go to Siberia. I've never been there yet. I've been to St. Petersburg.
That's very far from Siberia.
I know. I want to go to Siberia. Novosibirsk.
Novosibirsk.
Yeah.
It's my favorite place in the world.
Yeah. Is that where your people are from?
My peeps are there.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your support, and we thank you for supporting us through 2015, for sharing all of our Facebook posts, our news podcasts, and that one that you did in April. It's over 370,000
Yeah, I
views
can't
now.
believe it.
So, and that one keeps going. I want to know how many before it's viral. Is that viral
Why
or
don't they
not?
pick another one and do that one too?
I don't know, but that's the one they seem to love because of all the pictures, I guess. There,
I don't
maybe
know.
they want to know about your Russian accent in it.
When I get upset or nervous, it happens.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was very nervous.
You were too big a crowd for you.
Yeah. They were scary people.
That was it. Okay, that's what you told me, but I don't know if you want to share all those deep dark secrets. Anyway, thank you again for joining us, Janet Diane Moya Swerdlow
And Stewart A. Swerdlow.
for expansions.com. Bye bye.